the people. Doom. Here to let you know that I have no...
What up, everybody? This is Stuart Knight, author of the books Marginalizing White Supremacy, Poetic Visions, A Steep Mystifor System, and my latest work, A Spirit the World Has Forgotten. And just recently, I was listening to a cat online talking about how, other certain social movements, such as immigration and gay rights, always seem to latch on to the black face to be like their mascot in a sense out there in front. And it got me to thinking, what intrinsically drives that kind of thinking to where that need to have a black face out in front of your movement. And a lot of people know that it's because, the civil rights clause and how, black people were so-called granted, equal access within society, after Jim Crow. But I'm thinking that it really goes deeper into the meaning of the 14th Amendment. That amendment which, in a sense, gives black people personhood. See, that's the key. Personhood. Something that is legitimately like a material object in a sense, something that exists. And everybody knows that the corporations use the 14th Amendment to establish itself as a person. And deep down what that means is that, it made material the ideal. It made material an ideal, like the belief that, a conglomerate of people can get together and form an entity that functions as a living person, and that goes deep to the thinking of how this society really intrinsically thinks about black people, being that with this amendment, they actually established you as a person as if you did not exist before. And centrally key, I think that's why these movements always try to put a black face out in front of it to give it legitimacy in a sense, to make it exist, to make it a person, as if the people who are already welding, the concepts that they want to put forth or whatever they're trying to say or will do, like consider, the sexuality of LGBT, whatever, and the inclusion, if you would say, of immigrants. You know what I'm saying? That they want to establish that ideal as a person guaranteed rights. So in a sense, they kind of like want to double. But the thing is that they always put the black face out up front because within the white supremacist society, in a sense, you were nothing but, you was nothing but an object, as like a rock, until they legitimized you as a person. So, what I want to say is that black people, you got to stop falling for a lot of these social movements, thinking that, you're going to get something, the purpose is to actually give you inclusion or legitimacy in whatever kind of behavior you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Or that, you got to actually say it's a legitimate right for other people to engage in other things that really are not beneficial to you as a person. You got to be careful and not allow yourself to be used, because historically, our image or our caricature is put out in front of these ideals and say, see, my sexuality or my want for inclusion is a person. So it needs rights. They use you like, you some kind of mascot, exactly in a sense, so, but so I understand, that also too goes deep into the ADOS ideal and concept, as how with that 14th Amendment, in a sense, a certain group of people, says that all of a sudden you are a person for me to recognize. You understand? So, that in itself says that, if you have a higher faith in something, that you're legitimate the minute you breathe air. Understand? So, be mindful of that, black people, before you join in these social unions and movements, and see if they're actually just trying to use you to get benefits that even you don't even get in the society. What that 14th Amendment was supposed to have given. Everything it says in it, has been violated, as we've recently seen in many of the news events and things like that. So, But in a ending note, you know, the fourth section on that amendment, the 14th Amendment, says something peculiar in the sense that the United States government or the states is not responsible. But no, actually this part says the United States government is not responsible for any repayments incurred in the support of an opposition in an insurrection, or as a reimbursement for slavery. That any such kind of notion would be considered null and void. You know, so I'm wondering if in the reparations debate, if they may turn to that to make it, to disallow it, or to make it, to delegitimize the argument of it. And my saying is, and what I say is this, is that if they try to go there and saying that laws for slavery wasn't an insurrection bound by us, and it was in no part beneficial to any form of insurrection, but we deserve reparations as a people for the harm that it incurred upon us from then until now, because all those tenets within that 14th Amendment have not truly been felt or received by the people. So let's get right, black people. Once again, this is Stuart Knight, author of the books Marginalizing White Supremacy, Poetic Visions, A Steep Metaphor Sister, and my latest work, A Spirit the World Has Forgotten. Peace.